Well, welcome to the Fifth Dimensional Academy of Higher Consciousness, broadcasting from Stockholm, Sweden. And I would like to share with you a meditation. And after the meditation, what we're going to do is there would be a transmission. And after the transmission, we will talk about whatever, if there's any questions, we talk, and I will answer the questions. If not, whatever topic arises, we're going to just move into that. Everything is spontaneous and we'll just take it as it comes. And we go on from there. For the moment, why don't we just sink into our hearts and bringing our attention into one-pointedness. Now, it depends whatever you feel comfortable with. If you feel comfortable with having your attention on your third eye or having your attention on your heart chakra, you just simply bring your attention to one point, or you can bring your attention on your breathing. And you can just pay attention on how you breathing in and how you're breathing out. So the focus comes to one point. It's not trying not to think or thinking or positive visualization. It's simply bringing your attention to a point. And by doing that, what happens is the mind gets quiet automatically. As you put your attention on one place, the mind gets focused on a place and there are no thoughts. So go ahead, close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And keep your attention on this one point within yourself. Take another deep breath. You either have your attention on your third eye, or your attention on your breathing, or your attention is on your heart area. And you're sitting comfortably or standing up, or you're lying down. And you breathe in and out without an effort. You're not putting any efforts. You simply are. You're simply keeping your attention on one point. You breathe in, you breathe out. And by keeping your attention on one point very effortlessly, you go into a deep relaxation, deep state of relaxation. Take a deep breath again. And as you're breathing in and out, you can put your hands on your chest area, on your heart chakra. And you can just feel the warmth and feel the presence of this energy which is here. Excuse me. Feel the presence of the being, of yourself. And as you're feeling the presence of yourself, the being, your soul, your self, the energy field which is around you, this power that breathes inside you, this power that makes your heart pump, this force that allows you to think, to visualize, to move your body. There's a living spirit inside you, around you. And your attention comes to your being, your living spirit, yourself, the presence. And just simply tell yourself, repeat to yourself that all is well. You can repeat after me. All is well. All is well. I am in good hands. All is well. Take a deep breath. Stay at the one-pointedness of keeping your attention on one point without drifting away. And there is this sense that takes over that all is well and everything is taken care of. And there's nothing to worry about. Everything is in divine order. Take another deep breath. And now you can see, visualize that there is a growing light in your heart as you have your hands on your heart area, or your focus is on your heart area. And there's a growing light. It's growing inside you. It's like a ball of light, and it's expanding. And it's taking over your body. It's taking over your entire home. Everything has become a ball of light. It's full of love and acceptance. This presence, this light, this love that's taken over you. It's surrounding you. It's full of love and light. And it's accepting. And as you're in this place, as if you're suspended in between earth and heaven, as if you're in space, weightless. There is a sense of being, but you're not being anything. You're simply floating in the space freely. Without any bondage, without any desires, without any thoughts. There's no suffering. It's simply being. You simply are. Now you can repeat after me. I love myself. I love myself.
I love myself.
I love myself.
I love myself.
I love everybody.
I love everybody.
Because I'm love.
Because I'm love.
Because I'm light.
Because I'm light.
Because I'm God.
Because I'm God.
That's why I love myself.
That's why I love myself.
And I forgive myself.
And I forgive myself.
I say yes to love.
I say yes to love.
Yes to love.
Yes to love.
Yes.
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 Yay!
Yes.
Take a deep breath. And you just simply see yourself being love and light. You have no body. You have no boundaries. Everything is disappeared. You're simply a ball made out of light and love. There's no agenda to go anywhere, to do anything. You simply are in this moment. You simply are. You're not this, you're not that. You're not trying to get to this place or get to that place. There's no plans. You don't know anything. You just know that you are here. That's it. You're floating in space. You're weightless. Floating in space. Weightlessness. With a big smile on your face. Simply being in this moment. Simply being. Not being this, not being that. Just simply being. Simply being. Weightless, limitless, floating in space. One more time, if you just go back to your heart and repeat after me. I love myself.
I love myself.
I love myself.
I love myself.
I love everybody.
I love everybody.
I forgive myself.
I forgive myself.
I forgive everybody.
I forgive everybody.
Because I'm love.
Because I'm love.
Because I'm light.
Because I'm light.
Because I'm God.
Because I'm God.
That's why I love myself.
That's why I love myself.
And I forgive myself.
And I forgive myself.
I say yes to love.
I say yes to love.
Yes to love.
Yes to love.
Yes.
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 Slowly, slowly come back. When we dive into the heart and we come back into our home, in this place, everything becomes quiet automatically. Problems disappear. And we come back into the alignment. We come back into the center. And you can feel the presence. There's an energy field around you. The room that you're sitting in, the energy starts to get thick. You can feel there's a lot of energy in the room around you. In a way, it feels like you're diving deep under the ocean. It gets really quiet. In some ways, you may feel like your body's getting really heavy, or there's a heavy weight attached to your body and you're sinking down somewhere. You become really quiet. It's like you sat in an elevator and the elevator is going deep to the center of the earth and it's going to a very quiet place. Quietness happens. Everything becomes calm. And you can't stop smiling. When all the doors close down in our life, everything gets shut down. You have gone every direction you can go and you're hitting a wall. You have tried all the avenues and everything is a dead end. Nothing is working anymore. No matter how hard you're trying to make things happen for you, and nothing is happening. So you put all your effort, all your energy in making something happened and it's not happening. All the doors closing down. Maybe people turning their backs to you. Favorable situations are turning into disadvantage. You just feel like the whole world is crashing down. Your world. And that is the time to have faith and trust. When all doors close down and there's no avenue, nowhere that you can imagine that you can go, you've exhausted your resources, and you're desperate. And that is the time to go into your faith and trust. And existence puts us in that situation, forces you. Every once in a while, here and there in our lives, we get pushed to the very corner. Circumstances happen to be that way. It doesn't matter, you're wealthy, you're poor, you're successful, you're not, you're single, you have children, you have family, it doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with your economic situation or your social status. You will have your challenge of being pushed in a corner with nowhere to go. You've exhausted everything, all your possibilities. And that is the time you're forced to either, you're the place that some people freak out, they commit suicide, they can't handle it, they do crazy stuff, or you're forced to go within to come to this place and go to your faith, having faith that everything's going to work out for you. And then magically, in a very mysterious way, something opens up. A door opens up that you couldn't even dream about it. Can't even imagine it. And then all of a sudden, something happens. And a solution presents itself. That's how universe works. It's a mystery. But we can't understand it with our thinking mind. With our thinking mind, we're trying to figure things out, how things are going to work, how they transpire. But you cannot understand the mystery of life. It's beyond our understanding with our mind. It's beyond that. But you can understand it with your heart. Because the heart speaks a different language than the mind. The language of the heart is different. The language of the heart is not logic. It's not 2 and 2 will be 2 plus 2 will be 4. It could be 2 plus 2 will be 5. That's the language of the heart. It's completely unconventional and illogical. It doesn't make any sense to the thinking, logical mind, the language of the heart. Same as the language of the heart doesn't make any sense to the language of the mind. The mind cannot understand it. It throws the mind off. It thinks it's crazy. For example, so many times you're following your intuitive knowing. You get in a plane and you go somewhere, or you get in your car and go to an area, you're looking for something, you're looking for a piece of fabric, for example, you're looking whatever for something, and you just start driving your car in an area and you're led into the right place. You have no idea, you've never been there, you don't know where you're going, you don't know what you're doing, but something leads you and takes you to the right place, and you meet the right person. But your thinking mind, the intellectual mind, cannot understand it because it doesn't make sense to it. But the heart knows. The heart knows what's going on. But you can't analyze that. You can't sit down and try to figure it out how the heart knows. It just knows. And we sit down and we try to figure this out, but we can't figure it out. It's a waste of our time trying to figure out the language of the heart. But the more you submit to it, the more you surrender to it, the more fluent you become in this language. Because you were using this language when you were a child. When you were 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, you were using the language of the heart. And as you grew up and started to change, society, our schooling, our community condition us. And it forces us to give up the language of the heart and pick up the language of the mind. So as we get older, things starts to get very mindy. And that's where we start to suffer. Now, we're not saying the mind is a bad thing. You actually need your thinking, you need your working mind to figure things out, to calculate, to figure out if you're going on a trip to another city, you need to rent a hotel room, rent a car, buy your ticket, figure out the times you're flying. So that's your working mind is necessary. That's different than the monkey mind. It's a different story. The working mind is a good thing. Anybody has any questions? You can raise your hand. I'll unmute you. Reza, you have any questions? No. Go ahead.
Hi, Zara. Yeah, I don't have any question actually. However, last time when I received your DVDs, when I watched the first DVD, that was activation of third eye. In the interview with Ava Laurel, I believe, you were mentioning about dancing. That was a sort of question for me. Why are you talking about dancing where there was no dancing in the tape? But after, when I watched your second tape, which was activation of heart chakra, I realized that why you are talking about dancing. And the dancing is the part of nature of existence, universe, as same as music, and that's why we need really to live with music. same as our 7 chakras are corresponding to 7 notes, and same as that universe is moving with the music. So that was no question on that. However, in that meditation, you mentioned about crying. That came as a surprise to me, because being happy and dancing and music is in the nature of everybody. But when it comes to crying, understand that why you said that, because that's a situation, that's a way to empty yourself. However, in that meditation that you were teaching, that kind of crying to me came something like very fake. You cannot force yourself to cry. You cannot force yourself to remember something disaster in your life that you want to it wants to make you cry. So when I want to try, I haven't tried actually meditation for activation of heart chakra yet. I'm still working on third eye. But when it comes to that, I don't see any way that I can force myself to cry loudly the way that you were in your table with the people. And that will be a kind of surprise or question for me.
Right. Well, you don't have to, you can be happy and cry. Crying has nothing to do with being happy or not. Crying is not a sign of unhappiness. Quite often you've seen, like, when a mother comes and finds her child after a number of years, or parents reunite with the children and they start crying, and they're crying coming from being really happy.
I understand. That's the reflection of our emotion.
Yeah. So, and also crying is a way of releasing ourselves. It's actually a very healthy mechanism that we're blessed with. But I mean, it's a lot, women are more blessed with this because they easily cry in comparison to men. And we're more conditioned, basically, in our society, that it's a shame and we feel guilty or we feel shameful if we do cry. But crying actually has tremendous amount of, a lot of advantages in actually taking us into a deep silence. And you can pay attention, look at it next time. If something happens and you cry, after a long, nice cry, you automatically go into a very deep sense of silence, place of being silent. So we can make ourselves cry. In the beginning, it feels fake, just like when we're laughing. In the beginning, it may when we do the meditation, the heart chakra awakening meditation, and there are parts that we're laughing, or sometimes in our normal active meditations, we do a laughing meditation, and we're all laughing together. And if you pay attention, maybe in the beginning it's a little bit weird, but after a short period of time, laughter starts to come automatically. And we start laughing, and sometimes you see we're laughing at nothing. It's just, it's coming out. So same thing happens with crying as well. We start crying and we fake it and we make ourselves cry. After a while of practicing it, there's a barrier, there's a wall that we break through this wall. Once we break through this wall, then the crying becomes very easy and very natural. And it's actually an emotional cleansing. It's an emotional detoxification. Again, women are more blessed by this mechanism because it's a lot easier for them to cry and let go. And quite often, after a nice cry, we can ask the girls here, after a nice cry, they feel very good. Quite often they get together, maybe the girls, something has happened, somebody broke up with their husband, boyfriend, whatever, or a drama in their lives happened, they get together, they have a great cry, and then they eat a bucket of ice cream. And they feel wonderful. So it is there is nothing bad or shameful about it. It's just our society, our culture at this stage in our lives. It's an indication for a man. It represents weakness, but to me, it doesn't represent weakness. To me, when a man is crying, I don't look at them as they're weak. Actually, I look at them as their strength, that they're strong, that they allow tears to come down and they allow themselves to express their sorrow or their whatever emotion is happening with them, their loss, their happiness, that they have the courage to demonstrate that.
Zara, I don't have any problem with your description and your explanation. You're right. However, what I'm trying to ask, I understand that crying is very good as well in terms of psychologists also they advise that when the people that cry, it will release them and it will empty their inside. So it corresponds to emotion, whether we are happy or sad. However, when we are, it's much easier to make ourselves happy with just some hopes, and that's why that is doable when you do the meditation. But when it comes to force yourself to cry, I don't see anything practical.
Right. Have you tried it?
Well, I haven't tried that, but I can just sit down and start laughing, and after a few seconds, I will really laugh. But right. I don't think that just making noise of crying, the way that I saw in your DVD, is easy to just make myself really cry.
But you didn't answer you didn't answer my question. Have you tried it?
No.
Okay.
Well,
all right. So why don't we?
Yes and no.
Yeah. Let's try it. Let's give it a good try a couple of times, and then we talk about this. You try this. You try crying maybe for half an hour, for an hour, for 2 hours, or 15 minutes every time, a few times, till you get into it, and then after you experience that, we talk about this. And then, because right now we're trying to understand it with our mind. You remember earlier I explained the mind cannot understand the way of the heart, the language of the heart. They're two different languages. Crying opens up gateways to the inner gateways that are very, very important. Crying is a very powerful meditation and is a very powerful tool to reach our inner being. It works more efficiently than laughing because it will take us deeper into ourselves, far more deeper than laughing. Crying takes us into a very, very still and silent place that our being completely is naked and it's vulnerable. Take us to a very vulnerable place of complete openness, that we get to see this part of ourselves. And there is tremendous power into that, of the encountering of us with the silent part of us that the crying brings. So just take my word for now and give it a good try without any bias, without any judgments, and just experience it for yourself. Maybe it's not for you. I'm not saying that all these meditations are for everybody and everybody has to do it or everybody has to agree with it. But I'm suggesting that I wouldn't put it into that DVD and make it a part of the heart awakening if it wasn't potent. Because the heart doesn't completely open up until we become humble. Humility is a part of the path of the path we're on. There must be hardship in the path of realization. And there is hardship in it. There has to be failure. We have to fail on this path. We have to break apart, fall into pieces, be heartbroken, lose everything, lose someone we love. So we become humble. So we touch the heart. So we understand the path of the heart. If you haven't lost, you don't know what it's like to lose. If you have never had addictions, you don't know what addiction is. If you haven't been heartbroken, you don't know what heartbreak means. If you've not been dumped by someone loves you and they dump you and they go, you don't know what abandonment is. You don't know what, if you have approached somebody and asked them out and they tell you no, you don't know what rejection means. And as long as we're in the human body and human form, we're in the third dimension, and we are bound and forced to experience third dimensional rules and laws and experiences. And they all come in duality. There is no way that unless you're fully awakened from the time you were born, which is very, very rare phenomena, and there's no way you live this life without tasting both the sweet and sour. You cannot have one without the other. It's just doesn't exist. It's impossible. So we're seeking most of our lives for happiness. We're seeking for pleasures and for the good stuff. And we're trying to avoid the sour part and the negative and the suffering and the loss, but there's no way out of it. Existence forces us to experience both sides. You can't have one without the other. But what happens is, through hardship in this life, through suffering, when we go through hardship, when we go through loss, if we're lucky, if we're blessed, then our heart opens up and we become humble. Humility comes. Forgiveness comes. We begin to forgive ourselves and we learn how to forgive others. And that humbleness and that forgiveness are the keys to the heart, because there's no way your heart can be open to the full capacity if you cannot forgive. That's another part you have to go through. Yeah, and existence forces to exercise that all the time. Self-forgiveness and forgiving others for whatever they've done to us. That's the path of the master. Because you have to go beyond that. There's no other way. To feel the pain, to forgive, and to transcend and go to the next level. To transcend that. But first you have to go through it. And then become humble at the feet of the master. Then all of a sudden you enter into another phase in your spirituality. Slowly, slowly you enter into this place of you're very humble and you come to this place of not knowing. Not knowing is a very good place to be on the spiritual path, actually. It's a very advanced place. Not knowing. Sometimes I feel sorry for those people who know everything. Because they're trapped. They're in their heads. It's a different knowing. But not knowing, it is a different kind of knowing, actually. But not knowing is that coming to this place that I don't need to know. First of all, most of my life, I never knew. I don't know. I don't know how this existence, you have no clue of how things work, how they're being run, how they're being administered. Where is the power of it? You have no clue. Where were you 100 years ago? Where were you 500 years ago? Where are you going to be 100 years from now? Where are you going to be 200 years from now? You have no idea. You only know a little bit about this one. From here to here. That's all you know. What is that in comparison to the span of eternity? But that was a great question. Thank you very much for bringing it up. I appreciate it. You always come up with wonderful questions. Anybody else likes to talk about anything? Any questions? Anne-Therese, you have a question for me? No?
No.
No question? No question.
So how was the expo?
The expo actually was great. It was busy. I mean, Saturdays is more busy than the Sunday. And our team worked very well with each other. So it was a good expo. I met some nice people. Some new things came out. And we'll see. I have a meeting with somebody I met from the expo. Is a documentary filmmaker. So we'll see. We'll see what comes out of it. I'm open.
Zara, after I saw the description of your workshops in Sweden.
Reza, I'm sorry for cutting you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's Zarathustra, Reza.
Zarathustra.
My name is not Zara.
I'm sorry about that. In one of the emails or Facebook, I saw somebody called you with a short name of Zara. I thought that's maybe you call yourself. I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, you're right. The Zarathustra is the name of the all-time prophet. Okay, that's right. I apologize again. When I read the description of your workshop in Sweden, level 1 and level 4, I'm very much interested to participate when you come back to California, United States. So I hope that something you can put together very soon, maybe earlier next year for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I will be offering level 1, 2, at least level 1 and 2 in March, beginning of March of 2018 in Los Angeles. I think it's going to be either it's before Persian New Year. So I'll be offering it. And then we'll see about level 3 and 4. But definitely 1 and 2 is coming.
Okay.
And I'm waiting for a couple pieces of information from Toronto regarding my events in Toronto. So as soon as I have that info, then I will post the upcoming events. Yeah, thank you for your encouragement.
Okay.
Yeah. Do we have any new people? Is there anybody who's new with us? Yeah? We're having a our Swedish friend who's with Anita. Are you where in Sweden are you from? Where?
Munkfors, Karlstad.
Okay.
You know, Karlstad.
Not really. I'm not so familiar with Sweden as I am with Norway. Norway I know well.
Okay.
Right. But we're having a transformational group healing event, shamanic group healing event next Wednesday. It's going to be on November 8th. And we're having a dance party on November 9th.
Okay.
So the dance party is open to anyone who would like to come. It's a free event. And I'm also forgot I have a talk tomorrow evening. That's a free event too. That's they're all in Stockholm. So just in case, if any of you are around and you would like to join us, you're welcome to do so.
Thank you very much. You must.
So I have a question here. I wonder if all can learn healing. Anita, I don't understand this question. You're going to have to repeat it. Do you want to tell me? Do you want to speak to me? Okay. Okay.
She wondered if everyone can learn healing and do healing.
Very
Just
good
like
question. Very good question. Yes, healing is actually, that's a very good subject to talk about. Healing is that we're naturally are born as healers. It's our natural birthright doing healing work. So healing, we automatically do healing all the time. We've done it in all of our lives. I use some example. For instance, when you're having a child fall down and they hurt themselves, and what do? You pick up the child and you hold them in your arms, and you do this rocking motion, and you may go like, hush, hush, baby, baby, I love you, or la 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 la, da 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 da. You do whatever language, whatever culture you come from, you use a different language of just soothing someone, So when you do that, that's a form of healing. Or, you come across somebody you love, your husband, your wife, your partner, your mother, and something's wrong with them, they're heartbroken, they're physically hurting, whatever it is. What do? We hug somebody. When we care about someone close to us, we hug him, we hold him in our arms. That's a form of healing. You don't have to go to healing school to learn that. That's something we already do. Here, I'm going to unmute you, Rosalie. You can ask me the question.
Uh-huh.
You're unmuted. So, did you hear what I said?
Yes.
Yeah.
She wondered about distance healing.
Yeah. Well, distance healing is something I would have to teach her how to do. So, but back to what you asked me is that we've already inherited healing abilities from the time we're born. Just a touch, you're touching someone's face. You're holding him in your arms. You give him a little kiss. You're touching their hair. Right. Yeah. Or if you're using lullaby, you're having the baby or you're having someone in your arms and say, hush, hi, little baby, little baby. You're using sound vibrational therapy to it's inducing, it has healing ability to calm someone down and bring them into a loving, quiet, healed space. So we already have that. Now, it's different when it's in the content. For example, hardly ever anybody comes and tells you that you were born a healer from childhood. I mean, we think that, okay, now, special abilities, some people may be gifted with some special abilities, right? For example, Johan Borg, the tennis player, Swedish tennis player. I can go to tennis school and learn how to play tennis and get good. But probably I would never be Johan Borg. Because some people are more natural or have more of an ability, natural ability. Somebody is playing piano and that's their thing, or whatever, whatever, gymnastics, writing, reading, painting, being a carpenter, being a mechanic, whatever. I'm not limiting this to only sports or arts. but there's some areas that naturally you're very good at. But healing is something we all have and we're born with. Now, as we grow up, for example, when we're younger, if you remember, a lot of us had what they call it, our parents used to call it imaginary friends. Did you have, anybody had imaginary friends? Did you see beings? Did you talk to other beings or see spirits, or when you were a kid having, you know, playing with other beings? They call it imaginary friends, but it's not really true. You weren't imagining it. You were seeing it. You were communicating with the world of spirit, with the invisible worlds. It's a communication you had. And as we're getting older, again, we're being hypnotized by the society, we're being conditioned, and our schooling, our education is forcing us to give away our imaginary friends, which are not imaginary, they're very real. But we're being forced to move from right brain to left brain. And then it comes across that this is hocus pocus and this is what you're imagining. You're not imagining when you're 5 or 6 years old. You're having contact with the individual world, invisible world. Now, a part of the 5th dimensional quantum healing that we do in this healing training program that I've designed is to help you remember your naturally inherited powers and abilities. And this is a part of the work we do. By number 1, acknowledging and remembering very simple things. The simple things such as I mentioned to you, that when somebody's hurt, you hug him or you touch him or you rub him. And that's by itself, when you're rubbing him, your hands having healing ability, you're touching somebody. We see that in sports. When somebody does really well and they shoot, they make a goal. You know, what do other players do to them? They come and they pat them in the back. Hey, you know, they come and hit you in your back, hit you in your butt. Well done. Good. That touch, it has healing ability. It makes you feel better, doesn't it? When you do something well and somebody comes and taps, good job, buddy. Doesn't it make you feel good? Yeah? That has healing ability. That's why you feel better. So we've used a lot of our naturally given healing abilities. We already use it in our normal life. We're just not aware of it. But when we do this healing training program and it's being put in that content, slowly we start to realize, wow, I've already done these things. And also, a part of the 5th dimensional quantum healing training program is shamanic healing. Shamanic healing is, the shaman is a person who has access through a subatomic field of energy. And a shaman is a person who has access through the world, invisible worlds. Now, what do the shamanic healers or the tribes of old days, the tribes, or even today, you know, Peruvian shamans or Amazonian shamans or indigenous tribes, what do? They have ceremonies. They got drumming ceremonies. They're playing music. They're for hours. They're dancing around fire. Some, they use medicine. Okay, but not everybody uses medicine. And those who don't, you don't necessarily have to use medicine. But drumming, playing, dancing, you're dancing. And as you're dancing, you go into this trance state, especially when you are dancing with a group of friends. Well, don't we go out clubbing or to festivals, going to some parties, and don't we dance nowadays? And sometimes when you really get into your dance and you're not in your head, you get really high. You reach different levels of consciousness in our modern day. That is derived from our old tribal time, that through tribal dancing, tribal music, we would reach the higher states of consciousness. So fifth dimensional quantum healing is through active meditations that we do in our workshop. Those of you who've been with me, you know we do a lot of dances. And we do long dances. Dancing in my healing training program is a big part of our work. And if you've noticed, those of you who've been with me, from young to old, everybody slowly gets into it. And as you get into it deeper and deeper, your vibration starts to change. We all experience that in many of my different workshops, especially in Ore, that we had a lot of space, we had great speakers, and we were together for 10 days, and we could just go for it. And it's as you're just diving into yourself through shamanic tribal dancing, as you're diving deeper and deeper inside yourself, you begin to have access and have contact with invisible worlds. You start getting messages, you start having visions, gateways, doorways open up, and you start to have access to information that on an ordinary state, you don't have that information. So you don't necessarily need medicine to do that. You use tribal music, dancing, and with right training, right guidance. Again, this is nothing new. It's not like I can do shamanic healing and you can't. That's not true. With the right training, and especially something you've already done in your life, because you've danced. And some of us are more into dancing than the other ones, but we've already done that. So as we dive into this movements, we change vibrations and we reach into a higher frequency. And as we're reaching into the higher frequency, the third eye opens up, pineal gland opens up, and it secretes more DMT. And then we start having access to invisible worlds, and we start opening up to higher realms, and we have contact with trans-dimensional beings. We get messages. Okay, you send me a couple more questions, Rosalie. Let me read them. Anita wonders, if possible, be shaman without knowing it. Do you learn to stop bleeding to learn healing? So, okay, Anita wonders. All right, I'm gonna unmute you. So Anita wonders if you could be a shaman without knowing it.
Yes.
Yeah, well, you are a lot of things, and you don't necessarily know it.
Okay. I understand.
Yeah. I mean, I had shamanic abilities all my life, but I didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yes.
I did a lot of things without ever knowing or anyone telling me or teaching me anything. It was just there.
Okay.
But when I was in the right circumstance, in the right environment, it started to come out and flourish. And I started to discover it. You know, because the seed is already there. You know, the seed is implanted inside us. We have the seed.
Yes.
But every seed needs the right environment to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So once we create the right environment, it's like children. If you put children in the right environment, provide a violin, provide a piano, provide a guitar, provide a basketball, provide a exercise program, then they start to flourish and explore their talents. Go ahead.
Yeah, she should remember, because when I was working on Teletorget with cards, she said, how do you do this one? And I said, no, it's your turn. And she said, I can't. And I said, you have to take the phone when I'm leaving. I'm going to the shop. And I went out, and when I come back, she knows what to do.
Right, beautiful. Beautiful. Anita, you should come to this healing training program that I'm having next weekend, starting on Friday, November 10th, if you have time. If you can make it. Right.
I am here with
You're
Rosa.
there. Forget about her and come back.
Okay.
You can come here.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, it's very nice to see you all. We're coming to the end of our time. Our next academy is going to be, when is our next academy, Miss Shishi? We talked about...
Next Thursday, same time, 16th.
No. Next Thursday is my dance party.
Okay, sorry, let me look it up. Hold on.
Next Tuesday.
Oh, next Tuesday the 7th. Yeah, sorry. It's the 7th.
Yeah, Tuesday.
At 18.
Right. Tuesday, November 7th, we're having our next academy at 18 Scandinavian time, which is right now California is
10 a.m.
okay.
But we have
Right now it should be 10:30, isn't it?
It's 11:30 right now.
It's 11:30 right now. Yeah. But I think by next week we're gonna go through a time change.
Yeah.
We check that.
Right.
We need to check it.
Yeah.
So
it'll be.
But yeah. Are you confused?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because it goes fall back, so we'll be starting at 9 a.m. here, I believe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So it will be 9 a.m. in California when it's 18 here in Scandinavia. Very nice seeing you all, and I look forward to seeing you next week. or this coming week in Sweden. Namaste. God bless you. And see you next time. Bye-bye.